your protocol. So if you are okay, can I start asking you your protocol once again, but I want to package it for people so they can listen to this part and say, here is the protocol. So let's start from the pregnant women. So we're going to start from the beginning of life. So pregnant women, how do you manage pregnant women?
With pregnant women, you have to be careful, and depending on what stage of pregnancy they are, what trimester they're in. So trimester 1, my experience, okay, the loss of the baby is pretty high. The chance of a loss of the baby is very high, extremely high. Trimester 2, it's a 50-50 chance. And trimester 3, usually nothing happens to the mother or the baby if you can treat correctly. And I've treated all kinds of patients, trimester 1, 2, and 3, both with normal SpO2s, and they've gone through the disease nicely with no uneventful days. And I've had, eventful days and bad days with some patients who've been trimester 1, 2, and 3. But I work closely with the gynec. With the obstetrician, I got to work very closely to manage the child also, the fetus. So whatever I do, we always say, let's do and I work with groups. So I end up creating an online group. And from that online group, we end up working together, add whoever needs to be added, family members, husband, parents, anybody who's direct caregivers, and maybe the obstetrician is added to it. So they can also help with if something's going wrong. It's always good to have more eyes on what's happening in the case. And, especially in the home, you want to have everybody involved. So that motivation in the home becomes more encouraging for the patient to recover faster. Okay, so yes, I've treated all kinds of pregnancies, but it's a very small percentage of my practice, given the fact that, 6,000 cases, I don't think I've treated more than 100 pregnant women. So I've treated newborn babies. I've treated newborn, newly delivered,
neonates,
mothers who've just delivered babies. So I've treated them, but I've never really, I don't have large numbers of pregnancies that I can talk about. At least 100 pregnant women I've treated in over the 6,000 cases. So it's been a pretty decent experience. Okay?
Got it. So if we move then to the children from pregnancy. So children, what is your experience with them and how do you manage them?
Children, the youngest child I treated was 3 days old. And the oldest child was, I'm going to put people above 10 as being adults. I treat them more like adults. But say 10-year-olds. Okay, I've treated up to 10 or 12 years old, if you want to put it that way. But the 3-day-old, the 2-month-old, the 6-month-old, the 12-month-old, anybody who's breastfeeding their baby will get the treatment and will get the treatment. The child will benefit from the mother's milk. So I don't give additional medicine unless they have symptoms like fever, unless they have other symptoms that are significant of COVID. They may be COVID positive, but from the RT-PCR test, but not necessarily are they going to show major symptoms. And this goes across the pediatric spectrum from 0 to 12 years. I've not seen too many bad cases of pediatric. I did have one with red toes. And on the video call itself, I told the lady, she happened to be a person who I know very well, it was her niece. I told her, please do me a favor, take that child to the hospital, a 2-year-old young girl with absolute red toes. You go to the hospital, I'm not touching you. You're safer off in the hospital. I've taken on a lot of kids with fever, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. You manage the fever, you give them maybe a half a dose of ivermectin, maybe some dose of colchicine, crush it up and give it with some syrup, and over 10 days they'll do fine. So it's not a big thing to treat these children. So the whole thing with talking about children, I'm going to make a comment here about children. There's been a lot of speculation about the third wave hitting India and hitting children hard. I personally think no. The children are to me like green forests or green sticks. You can't burn them down. So I don't think that, again, given the experience I've had, I don't think children will get affected in the third wave. And I'm putting it out in public. We'll see what happens in the third wave, but I don't think children get affected. Anybody above the age of 12 or 15, I treat them like full adults. It's far safer than to allow them to get into problems. Okay.
Got it. So let's then move